And this is a new pod that we want to call That's More Like It. I'm about to bring y'all videos of people that, like, you about to hear testimonies from people that you never would have thought that they've gone through these things. We so often see people in their element, see where they are now, but we don't know where they actually came from, and we assume that when we see where they are now, that they actually haven't gone through anything. And the devil is a liar, okay? The grace of God is on all our lives, whether we serve him or not. And this is to show y'all God's grace. And so I pray y'all stay tuned. Believers, unbeliever, this is for everybody, to just show you how good God is, and to just show you, like, no matter where you come from, literally your life can be changed and transformed. And so we gonna start with us, because we the Moors, okay? And so we gonna give y'all a piece, a little bitty piece of our testimony. I don't know if you want to start us out, or how you want to do this. You want to flow? You want to choose the flow, or I choose the flow?
Well, I think it's only right if I be a gentleman and
You know what?
let you go first. I'm being serious.
He said, "Ladies first."
Yeah.
All right, May. So I'm gonna start like this. I was born, Waco COD. If you from Waco, you know what it is. Shout out to my Waco people, for real. That's the hood I was born and raised in, or the projects, low income housing. I come from parents never married. Shoot, if you ask them, they barely even like each other. They crazy. But shout out to them. I love my parents. Um, I was raised, I went to church sometime, whatever I did what I wanted to do. I sang in school. I used my gifts to my ability. My gifts kept me out the streets, I ain't gonna lie. But after high school, a lot of stuff changed. I kind of grew up lacking the love that I feel like every human actually need from their parents, from their peers. I felt rejected. I felt abandoned. I felt misused, abused. I felt a whole bunch of stuff growing up. And so I took that into my adult life. And as I became an adult, I did everything. I partied, I drank, I smoked, I had a bunch of sexual partners, and I did everything you could probably think of, except I probably just ain't smoke crack. That's probably the only thing I didn't do: smoke crack or pop pills. But I pretty much did like what the streets, like. I was city girl. City girl, what it do? Twerk team. I was Me and my best friend, we used to do twerk Tuesdays, like, and that started in high school. Like, I was out here. And so when I grew up, I really, I didn't think marriage was for me. I didn't think I was gonna be nobody's wife. I didn't think I was gonna have no kids, because I'm gonna be like completely transparent with y'all. Um, wow, okay. I'll be completely transparent with y'all. I was messing with a guy, and he gave me herpes. And so, wow. And so I didn't think that any man would ever want me after that. And then, especially because, I had all these sex partners, and dudes used to be like, oh, yo, body count matter, and all this other stuff. And so I never thought that um, marriage would be for me. I didn't want kids after that, because I felt like I would have to tell a man that I have this, and like, how he gonna respond to that? And then I gotta tell the doctors that I got it. Then I gotta risk my baby having it. And so I never thought that I would just do anything. So I put everything that I had into doing makeup, and that became my identity. The club became my identity. Partying became my identity. All of these things became my identity. And little did I know that I was going to come back to God at, come back to Jesus at 24 years old and completely surrender my life to Him. Neither did I know that this dude right here was going to be my husband. Like, I never, like, you know, ghetto ratchet. Like, that's what people would probably call me. And Durant is completely different. Like, he is so much different than me. And I don't know if you want to, you could tell them like what kind of person you are, but I never thought that Durant would be my husband. Even like with our own testimony, which we'll tell at a later time, but I never thought that I could even be with somebody like him. I never seen marriage growing up. I never seen relationships work out, and I definitely ain't see no ghetto girl being with a freaking college boy. Like, you could tell your testimony, but I never thought that this would be my life
Mm,
coming from where I came from.
mm.
So what what's your testimony? Where you from? Tell the people where you from, Ron Ron.
We should have like we should have like a mic that and then you just be like the mediator for everybody up until like they actually got to speak for themselves. Then you hand over the mic.
That's what I should do.
That's kind of the vibe I get from you. Like, I'm gonna let him tell it.
No, cause this
I'm gonna give him the mic.
no, this different cause this us, but with other people, it's more like them talking. This is about us, so I'm talking a lot this time. But normally, I
This
ain't gonna talk that
whole
much.
time, this is her podcast, y'all. I'm a guest on her podcast. This is something that I spoke
Well,
to
this is
her.
my first guest.
The husband. Yeah. So I was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I used to say I grew up on the north side, but I didn't really know directions all that well back then. So when you look at the map, or when you just look at like Milwaukee, I don't know, like blown up. I was really born on the west side. Yes, I was born on the west side. I was not the north side. It was northwest. There it is. I was born on more of the northwest side, but I was not born on the north side. So I gotta correct myself when I say that because I used to be like, I was born on the north side, like I'm
I thought
uppity.
that was the north side.
So if you go towards the water, that's
Uh-huh.
the east side.
Yeah.
If you go opposite from that, that's the west side. The north side is like Glendale,
Oh,
Brown.
what?
Like if you're looking at Milwaukee, you got the water here, and you got everything that's going up. That's Glendale, Cedarburg, Brown Deer. West is like you know this is you got Burleigh, Capitol, Hampton, Silver Spring. Like
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Come
like
on, teach us
yeah,
something. Come on.
it was like the north way. It was more western than it was north, but northwest side. So I grew up on the northwest side. I don't know why I keep doing that. I grew up on the northwest side, and I went to a Christian private school my whole life, um, up until seventh grade, which is where I met my wife. I went to MPS seventh, eighth, and ninth grade, and I ended up going back to private school. So practically my whole life, I was brought up in a private Christian school. Um, and then after that, I went to a college prep high school. Um, Shout out my high school, whose school I won't name, but shout out y'all and all
Why
my,
why you won't name it?
because they're not actually up and running anymore.
Oh.
So yeah, I appreciate them though because I'm a product of what they were able to produce before they got to where they are now. So I'm still proud of it. But nonetheless, I went to a college prep high school. Ended up going to college. Um, I was there for 4.5 years. I got my degree in electrical engineering, and then I graduated. I came back home, um, and this is more so just like the quickest like timeline that I can give. Came back home, found my own spot, and then the pandemic happened in 2020. So I graduated 2019 December. We come back, and pandemic happens. I lose that. house. I lose my job, and I end up moving back with my parents, sort of, kind of. I was kind of going back and forth, and then in that process, that's when I kind of rekindled with Nayana, and from there we kind of started dating, and then we ended up dating for a little while, and then we ended up getting engaged, and then we get married, and now we've been a little over a year married, so we still newbies, as all of the married folk like to say when we go to the marriage events at our church. They people who've been married for 20, 20, 25, 15, 10 years, they look at us like we the newbies, which we are. Um, and so yeah, in that space, we got married, and now we have our little baby girl, our daughter, who's now 4 months. She just started 4 months two
Yeah.
days ago.
Mhm.
Yep. And so, yep, I was brought up in a household. My mom and dad was married. They had me and my brother out of wedlock. I do believe my little sister came after they got married.
Mhm.
Yes. So praise God for that. But my mom and dad met when they were about 15ish, 14, 15ish, 16. I know he was in high school. Um, and they got married about 10 years later. They had me and my brother at 20 and 22. And so I grew up in a house where my mom and dad was married. Um, and I'll do my best to pour honor on my parents, because I probably wouldn't be the man that I am today without the things that they were able to instill in me. But I grew up in a house where both my parents were there. I wouldn't say that it was the greatest household, because at that time my dad was struggling with alcohol abuse. He had lost his, which is no excuse. I don't want to say this to make it sound I'm giving him an excuse, but he lost his sister, and his dad. He lost his dad first, um, when I was just a couple months old, and then I think a few years later, he lost his sister on his birthday. So that kind of sent him in a little spiral, and then for a while, he struggled with alcohol abuse. And so, although I grew up in I keep wanting to say single family, single parent. I don't know why I keep wanting to say that, but it's crazy. That's what it felt like. So my dad, he was there physically, but mentally and emotionally, he wasn't. He actually wasn't there. And I do believe that at some point, we will have my mom and my dad on this pod, so they'll be able to actually kind of talk more into that experience. But yeah, he was there physically. He wasn't all he wasn't there as I would have wanted him to, or as we would have wanted him to be. Me, my younger brother, my younger sister, emotionally and mentally. And so, um, there was a bit of a struggle there for a while. I felt like I came from a broken home, a broken family home, and so very blessed to have both of them in the house. But there were things that we kind of battled with, um, like inside those walls. We didn't do a lot of moving, but I think we lived at like three different places from the time I was maybe like five up until I was like, on my way to college. And so between those four walls of each of those homes, we struggled and we went through things that I'm pretty sure a lot of people who have a parent who goes through that type of thing, or even if it's just one parent in the house, you guys can kind of almost relate, or even just kind of think about right now, like what it is that was like, growing up, and to see where they are today. I mean, I don't want to glorify all the things that he did, but we can actually look to where they are right now. They are in such a beautiful space. To God be the glory. They've come a long way. I think my dad now is like 10 years. It's been a little over 10 years. A few. I know it's been over 10 years since he hasn't had a single drink of alcohol. He's been completely alcohol free. Um,
Period, Father Gene.
yes, we call his first name's Gene, but we like to call him Father Gene. He's not a priest. So I gotta clarify that. I don't want y'all thinking that my dad's a priest. Priests are cool, but you know, we have the most high priest who speaks on behalf of us. We no longer need priests. So, but yeah, so you know, they're in a great space right now, or in a better space, I should say. um, and you know, I think that that speaks to part of like the testimony that I come from and the things that I had to, I guess, endure growing up, even kind of taking that to college and you know, relationships and so on and so forth. Um, that's probably one of the biggest things that I can speak to as far as like who I am today. Um, and yeah, you know, I didn't grow up in the hood. We were always in like the high numbers, which like, you know, I know that there's like this stigma that like the hood is usually where, you know, a lot of stuff like gang banging and, you know, maybe like even sex trafficking, or, you know, like you might see mugging, or, you know, all of the things that stereotypes typically point towards. Um, there were things that happened in my neighborhood as well, even though I grew up in, you know, maybe like 80th or 70th and whatever it was, right? We still had things that happened in our neighborhoods that would take place in places like where, you know, where my wife says she grew up, or even places in the median between that, right? And so we lived on almost two different spectrums of the world, or not even the world, but you know, in Milwaukee, which to us felt like the world. But a lot of the stuff that was going on where she lived also took place where I live too. So you know, I don't want to make it seem like I come from the suburbs, because I don't.
And what's crazy,
You know.
and what's so crazy about that is, as long as I had known you, I had no idea of your life dynamic. Even though we used to be on the phone, and like I would hear like, you know, your parents like go back and forth a little bit. I hear your mama yell and stuff like that. But like I never knew that, like when we got together, the stuff that you told me, that you even went through stuff like that. Like I never knew that you grew up how you grew up, like because you found healthy things to do with your time. Like you telling me about like how you would just go play basketball instead of doing like bad stuff. You would just go play. You and your brother would get together, and or y'all would go outside and y'all play basketball. And you know
Yeah.
that you told me like that kept you out of a lot of trouble. But then you told me about the times you did get into trouble. And so like I didn't learn these things until we was in a relationship.
Yeah.
So when I first started dating you, I felt like I don't deserve somebody like him, because I was looking at yo now. I was looking at who you were when I started dating you. I was
Yeah.
looking at college Ronnie. You know, Durant has met all these, you know, different kinds of people. He more well rounded. He's an engineer. If he take me to like job, like you know, you see those movies where like the man work in the office and then they have like job parties and stuff like that. And so I would like have dreams that like Durant was gonna take me to a job party and they was gonna be like, "Who is this ghetto black girl with you?" Like I used to feel like that, and I remember telling him at the beginning of our relationship, like, "Are you ready for people to judge you because of the type of person that I am, even though they don't know me? Like I'm really smart as well. I just never went to college because I chose to live a completely different life."
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I used to ask him questions like that, even when it came to like my diagnosis, which I am healed. I just want y'all to know that God can heal you if you battling with that and you want to be healed. Ask God, bro. God can literally do anything. And I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful for that. And I'm not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
So just know he can heal you. But
Mm.
but when I even like before we started dating, I as long as I had wanted Durant, I wanted so bad to push him away because I felt like I didn't deserve him. And so at the beginning of us like dating, before we even said like I want to be in a relationship, before I said I want to be in a relationship with you, because he said it to me first, I tried to push him away. I tried to do a bunch of things to make him stop talking to me, like when I told him about like having herpes, it was because I thought he was gonna be like, I don't want you. And so, like, if you want to like give some context to that conversation, Durant basically like had asked me to be his girlfriend, and I was like super hesitant. I'm like, I don't know about that. And he was like, well, you waited for me, I'll wait for you. And so I'm like, so I don't know. So then one day we was laying down in his bed, and I'm like, and this is all pre-Christ, y'all. So well, Christ was in us the whole time because we both was saved, but we weren't. I wasn't living my life for Christ at all. But um
I wasn't either, clearly.
we was in a bed, and I'm like, Durant, I gotta tell you something, and because you said you want to be with me, but if you want to be with me, then you gotta know this about me. And so I'm like, and I tell him the whole story about how I got it and all this other stuff, and tell the people how you felt when I told you this.
Um, well, um, well, I kind of want to just go back for a quick second. I just
Okay.
want to go back for a quick second. I just want to say that there are some amazing people who are way smarter than me, who I don't know, but I know of, or people I do know, even people, podcasters that I've watched who has never gone to college, who I look up to, or even I would consider them as like a great influence in my life. And so I just want to say all that to say, like, I know that America stresses going to college. And again, I went to a college prep high school, so like, they kind of, it was like for you, if you was gonna graduate, you was gonna be accepted into a college and all this other stuff. Otherwise, you weren't gonna graduate. So I just want to pour honor onto all the people who decided not to go to college, because I feel like there is a huge gleam over, especially now, my generation, and then the generation that's being brought up, and even the ones after that, like my daughter, right? I want the best for them. I don't want to push them or even influence anybody to do something that they don't feel that they should do. Right? I felt at that time in my life that college was what I had to do. Right? But there are people in this world who are doing fine without it. Now, I'm not saying don't go to college. I recommend it because there are things by myself that I learned that I, I could have learned in the world. It just maybe would have taken me a little longer, right? Because I'm in the world. But I just want to say that pour honor on everybody, people who went to college, people who did. But back to what you were talking about. I really do believe the Holy Spirit came over me in that moment, because in that space, although I hadn't given my life completely to Christ, I was a praying man, and I do understand now at least the power of prayer and how critical it was. Right, I wasn't praying every morning at 4 a.m. Right, I wasn't meditating on the Word day and night. Right, I wasn't allowing the word to permeate my heart the way it is now. I wasn't doing these things, but I was a praying man. So I believe in that moment, the Holy Spirit took over. And so I say that to say, um, I remember the moment, but I don't necessarily remember everything I said, just because, like I said, it wasn't me speaking. But I do remember looking at her and saying, that's okay. Um, you know, I had this sense of, I don't know, I guess compassion and empathy. Yes, empathy, because sympathy is, I know where you're coming from. I know how you feel. Whereas empathy is like, I have no idea like what that feels like, but I can put myself in your shoes and kind of understand where it is that you're coming from. And so in that moment, something, even to this day, I kind of still, I'm not the greatest at being empathetic, but I believe I'm getting better. I am. I'm making progress. And in that moment, I became empathetic, and I looked at her, and I believe what Christ would tell everybody who struggles with something like that, whether it's an STI, it's right, HIV, AIDS, herpes, whatever it is, I believe Christ would give you that same reason, or he would give you that. I'm sorry, not reason. He would give you that same. He would say this. He would give you the same words, right? Um, and I just looked at her and I said, no, that's okay. That doesn't make who you are. It doesn't define you. And even though it's something that is attached to you, it does not define you. And even then, I didn't know the power. The Bible talks about. Um, I'm sorry, y'all. My younger brother is calling me.
You can answer.
I can answer. What do you do? I'm on something. You can let me in. Oh, okay. I got you. All right. All right. Yeah. So I said what I believe Christ would have said to his brother or sister in any moment, right? Picking them back up with words of encouragement, right? The Bible says a just man falls 7 times, but he gets back up. And so, you know, I don't know what that's like. I don't know what that, I've never gone through something like that, although I've gone through something, and I'll speak to that testimony in another video. But yeah, I just, in that moment, I said what I said, and I'm pretty sure it was life changing because here we are now.
No, it really was because, but I was not expecting you to say that. I
Yeah.
was expecting you to be like, girl, okay, I don't want you anymore. Get out of my house, get out of my bed. You're nasty, you're disgusting. Because that's how I felt about myself.
Yeah.
And so I always had this, like, I always thought, like, in my head that this is how it was going to go whenever I told a man about it. And even though I had told one other person before and they didn't react how I thought they would react either. But I was so used to like crummy trash dudes. I thought that every dude was crummy and trash with something, some way, somehow. And so, um, yeah, he accepted that about me. Like he accepted all of me. And I feel like at that moment I was able to reveal another layer of myself to him. And there's so many layers to me where I had to get to a point where I could trust him with something like that. But Durant felt so safe. I had never felt like how I felt with him with anybody. And I had felt like that for as long as I known him. Like even when I was 18, talking to him and telling him about all my dang business. Every time I talk to you, I used to just tell you all my business. And
Yeah.
to this day, I tell him all my business. If I dreamt about it, I'm gonna tell him. Like if I think about it, I'm gonna tell him. I tell him everything. And so I just felt like this was my safe place and like he really accepted me for who I was. And I felt like he showed like the love of Christ through a person. And I didn't realize this until I learned the love of Christ, of course. I didn't even know what that was like. But he really like showed me how God loved through his love. And like he just accepted me for who I was and everything that I came with. And I came with a lot. Uh, I came with a lot, and I'm still not like I'm not fully healed from everything that I've gone through. And Durant is like he shows me so much grace, so much patience that like I just thought I didn't deserve this. Like even at the beginning of our relationship, like I just will fight with him because it's like why I used to ask him all the time, why do you love me? Like, because I just needed to hear it because I couldn't fathom or actually believe that somebody like him could love somebody like me. Like, as amazing as I am, and as amazing people see us and they see me, and you wouldn't think that I battle with these things, but I do. As amazing as y'all may see me, that's not the person that I see when, I look in the mirror. And sometimes I have to remind myself that I'm amazing, but am I all the way there? No. I am healing. I am not healed. And so, Yeah, like so many people see stories like ours and they see marriages and it's like, oh my God, I want to be like y'all. And it's like, you don't even know what we are like. You have no idea. Or there's other people who see it and they like, they think that something is perfect. Like they think that we was just like a match made in heaven. And although we are, it's because of the Holy Spirit. It ain't because of us. It ain't because of us. You have two totally different people coming together to build a life with each other. It takes God. It just really do. And so like if you think like you too bad or you did this or you made all these mistakes and you don't deserve this kind of life, the devil is a liar, bro. It's possible. It's possible. I'm not like one in a million. I'm not God's special chosen. You know, people be like, I'm God's favorite. I'm just a girl who said yes. I'm just a girl who said yes to God's will. I said, okay, Lord, this what you say. This how I'm gonna live, and this is the results that I got from living this life, and I'm gonna choose to live it, and continue to live it, and continue to do what He tell me to do, and I'm gonna get the results that He find fit for my life. But let this be encouragement and open your eyes that like the picture may be pretty, but it's not perfect. And that we all went through some stuff. We didn't all went through some stuff. My life not perfect, his not either. We get more in detail with other stuff as we go on with the pod. Later in some other episodes or something.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to give I
Yeah.
just wanted to give that to y'all, to give the vulnerability, and I didn't know I was even gonna share what I shared. But you know, God is good. Somebody needs to hear it.
Yep.
And He always telling me that I'm too quiet about it. I didn't tell nobody about my diagnosis for a long time. I didn't tell nobody. But now, hey y'all, I used to have herpes and now I don't. Nice to meet you. I am
Mm-hmm.
changed by the blood of the Lamb.
Yes, you are.
Um, and yeah, God is good. And we got a daughter now who over there playing with her uncle. I should turn the camera around.
Or you can just bring her up in the camera.
Yeah, let me see her, Marcus.
The miracle baby.
The miracle baby. And this is a whole nother story right here. But okay. Them doctors was like, can we give you pills? Cause you might Bookie. I don't got that. I don't got that.
Say hey
Say
world.
hey. Say
Hey,
hey y'all.
hi.
Look at her face. Look at her face. She really a happy baby, y'all. She just be Agape funny.
She is.
Agape. Look how she's smiling at her daddy.
I'm gonna get her to smile for y'all. Stinky booty, stinky booty, but ooh, stinky booty. She being shy. I'll give her maybe I'll give her a little kissy. Oh, there it is. There's the smile.
Okay, y'all. So that's more like it, cause that's more like it, and we about to be real open and transparent on this pod. We gonna have more guests, more testimonies, more people doing.
Bless you.
Bless you,
Bless
bless
you.
you, bless
Bless
you.
you.
She looking at the mic. But more people doing amazing things in the city that y'all probably wouldn't even imagine that they stories go like that. And I pray you be babe. I pray y'all get healed from listening to these things and know that if God did it for us, He can do it for you too.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
and I love y'all. And this concludes this first episode of That's More Like It.
That's more like it.
Hey, peace out.